So we're gonna move to page 2 and letter B, which is balancing the three brains. So we're gonna take what we just did and we're gonna take it a step further and do a bit of a balancing routine with them. Now, by balancing, you can see there's a list of things that it increases the emanating of light, increases ability to adapt, learning capacity, accelerates physical healing. This has just by itself has a transmuting effect on lower emotions, increases movement of Kundalini, increases awareness or your potential for gathering information. Gathering of information is the precursor to forming memory, so it can actually impact memory. Increases intuition and the intuitive mind, and like this is one that I really like. It helps to align with the mechanism of synchronicity. We can go through the school of hard knocks, or we can go through this process of where like attracts like, and we start putting ourselves in the right place at the right time and make connections in ways that we would never think of before. And this is all tied to synchronicity. Synchronicity is more tied to the intuitive mind. The law of karma is tied more to the logical mind, because it's all about consequences, and so it's not an either or, it's just two sides of the same coin. So with that, you have some choices. Galbanum and myrrh are the two big go-tos here. You have the blend alignment that was from one of the classes that Linda was talking about. Monk's anointing oil, or the blend threshold. One that I could have put here too is Embred. And so first, just start inhaling your oil, get used to it. I am, and it said, did you mean impale, impale? Like it's, I was like, actually, yes, it is. That's exactly what I meant. Okay, now you gotta let it go for a moment. Your awareness is on the sex, the solar, and the brain, all three at the same time. Start taking long, slow, deep breaths with your oil. Now, your awareness is on all three. Balance them out. A third of your awareness on the brain, a third on the solar, a third on the sex chakra. Try to equally balance them out as much as you can. And then pause and let go. Pause, let everything go. Okay, awareness on all three again. You're inhaling. You're balancing out all three. Pause. Check in with your body, your emotions, your thoughts, and what do you notice? Now, active situations, past experiences. Again, what do you notice? Do you notice? Like
I really have to work for a thought at all.
about anything. Yeah. And what about when you visit your past situations or experiences?
No, those are hard to find too.
So Samantha is saying like she has to work really hard, like even going back to situations that are agitating or a negative past experience. She said, I have to work really hard to be able to catch on to it, like access it. Yeah.
It's almost more agitating trying to like.
She said the agitation comes from trying to remember or trying to connect to those old things rather than the old things being agitating. And how about for you? What do you notice?
I am just really clear.
Yeah.
And my mind is organized.
Yeah. So she said she feels really clear and her mind's really organized. So I'd also say like that usually is also quiet. Like the mind is just, like most times, like you're going around, you're driving to the store and you're thinking, oh, I gotta go to the store, but your mind's also going bat, 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 bat. It's thinking all kinds of stuff. And when it's in more of an intuitive state, you're in a state of observation. Doesn't mean sleepy, doesn't mean like, oh, you're knocked out or you're not thinking, but you're allowing for information to come in so that you can process it. And if you remember what I said at the beginning when we were talking about the like even how we were doing that first process, the intellect only sees from the past point of view or the conditioned response, right? So if you're looking at some new situation, your mind goes, well, where have I seen this before? What do I know about this? What have I learned about this? What have other people have said about this? I probably need to read something about this. Like, you're going through all the things because you're wanting to know, what am I looking at? Where intuition goes, hey, what's this? Hey, what do we got going on here? Like, oh, ooh, and you start playing with it. And then pretty soon you've generated enough interaction, has produced an experience that now the intellect can go and go, now I have something to process, right? So when the mind is quiet and you're in observation, you're gathering information so that at some point the intellect can process it, but the intellect doesn't gather the information, intuition does, right? So you're in that intuitive state where you're like, oh, what's going on here? And then the mind's quiet. The mind's not going, well, I remember, and I don't know, I have to keep doing this, but in the past, I've had this experience and this feels like this, or I read about this somewhere. Somebody told me about this. I heard about it. This seems similar to, whatever it is, right? You're just going, okay. Okay, we're having an experience, we're taking in information, and then at some point, the intellect goes, well, let's process this. What does this mean? What does this mean for us? How do I maintain this? Do we like this? Do we not like this? It starts going through all its parameters, but you've gathered something new. And if intuition is not involved, you're not gathering anything new. You're going to the past. You're going to old conditioning, an old experience, an old opinion, something that's already been pre-decided, even though you've never seen this situation before. You might have seen something similar, but you haven't really seen it before. So here you're in that spot where you're like, gonna take something in. Okay, what does this mean? Even if you're looking at something that you've looked at 100 times, a lot of times you'll have a different perspective. You'll see it from a different facet. You'll see it from a different point of view, right? And it helps gain a better or fuller picture of even something that's from the past, right? Yeah.
As we sit here, I get happier though. Like it's like
So, and
something.
Samantha said that as she sits here, she gets happier. Yeah,
Just
nice.
like something.
Yeah,
Too, so
yeah.
that was you.
So increases happiness. Huh. Okay, so let's finish this and then we're gonna come back and do an experiment again. Okay, so with that, you're gonna still use the same oil. I wanted you to have notes from, mental notes from what we just did. And now we're gonna begin inhaling with the same oil, but your awareness is on the left side of your body. Left side of your face and neck, your left shoulder, rib cage, your left hip, down the outer thigh, all the way to the ankle. Left side of the body. Yeah, just all down the left. Okay, now move to the front of your body, your face, your throat, your chest, abdomen, pelvis, down the front of your legs, all the way to the tops of your feet. Okay, let that go for a moment. Your right side of your body, right side of your face and neck, your right shoulder, the right ribs, hip, thigh, all the way down to the right ankle on the outside. Now pause. Your backside, the back of your head and neck, your upper back, mid back, your low back. Your hips, down the back of your legs. And then just pause and be still. So what do you notice? After you do the aura like that, what do you notice? Your mind and your thoughts, your emotions, your body. How does your body feel? Then active situations, past experiences. You notice when you go through and look at those situations, it is almost doesn't feel like the same situation. Like it's either less stimuli, more information, but it's not the same, you know. Now you can always do this before you have to go deal with something difficult. Later, we're going to do a little healing with this. But if you do this on a regular basis, it's not like, okay, I have this meeting tomorrow and I need to do this before I do it. If you just start doing this on a semi-regular basis, you'll just do it in the meeting. Like you won't have to prep it. Like with mystical practices, it's not so much a technique that's stimulating a certain kind of action or reaction or outcome. You're developing the ability from the inside out. So at some point, you just start doing it regardless if you've done the technique or not. You're being able to take that ability or that process and stick it in your pocket and like you keep it wherever you go. Or when you're using a technique, you have to use the technique before or during. You have to use it to stimulate this process. And here you're almost doing it the opposite, you know. So before we have our little shares, we just did the aura. Let's go back and revisit what it feels like to balance all three after you've done that, right? So same oil, your awareness is on the sex, the solar, and the brain. You're balancing all three. So a third of your awareness is on the sex chakra, a third is on the solar, a third is on your brain, the best that you can. And then pause and be still. Just keep your eyes closed. Did that go a little deeper? I love asking the questions where I already know the answer. Makes me look so smart.
drive and sit on the sand on the beach.
Right. So somebody here was saying it's like when you finally arrive and like sit on the sand and like sink into the sand and like you're not just sitting on the beach, but you're like at the beach, like where you let kind of everything go and like you're just watching the ocean and your mind goes quiet and your body relaxes. And somebody says, "Where's your phone?" You're like, "Man, I don't know." Where, you know, during a normal day where you know where your phone's at all the time. You're checking it all the time. With it. Oh, Samantha says unless it's me, because I check my phone twice a week. Usually on Wednesdays or no, Mondays and Wednesdays. Kind of. Yeah. Yeah. I have a phone, although I don't have a computer. I just have iPads. Okay. So let's do that one more time just to take it a little deeper. Sex, solar, and brain. You're trying to balance all three evenly. That takes practice too, by the way. Part of what you're doing while you're doing this is by holding all three like this, you're actually fatiguing the intellect and you're allowing for more intuition to come in. You're giving your intellect not just a task, but three different tasks that it's now having to hold together. And so it's natural for our mind to fixate on something. So here you're making it fixate on something by giving it a task of fixate on all three of these things and now balance it out. And so at one point, your intellectual mind at some point is going to go, I give up. I don't want to do this anymore. Like I'm stressed, like that it's going to shut down at some point. And when that does, it allows for more intuition to happen. So it becomes easier to re educate the intellect to take information from intuition. Not everybody is gathering information from the intuitive side. And then just be still.